them and make some noise unto the Lord. Help me celebrate the Levites as they shortly take their seat. And in 5 minutes, I'll talk to us shortly as we progress in this all-important service, being in God's presence in the cool of the day. Somebody say, the cool of the day. Praise God. I'll take one text, or if you will, 2 verses from John chapter 4. Gospel according to St. John chapter 4, verse 23 and verse number 24. Gospel according to St. John chapter number 4, verse number 23 and verse number 24. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Pardon me, I'll read just one more scripture, then I talk to us shortly. Psalm chapter number 47, verse 5 and verse number 6. Can we read this together if you can see it? And please open your vocal cord and read it as loud as you can. And please read it like you mean it. Let's read it. God is gone up with a shout. The Lord with the sound of a trumpet. The next verse. Sing praises to God. Sing praises. Sing praises unto our King. Sing praises. Clap your hands and make some noise. I love verse number 7. I think I should read that also. Verse 7, it said, for God is the king. Not God is a king. For God is the king. For God is the king. The king, not a king. For God is the king. For God is the king of all the earth. Sing ye. I can hear you singing with understanding. Clap your hands for Jesus. Keep clapping. If there are true worshippers, then there are false worshippers. John chapter 4, verse number 24, we read. If there are true worshippers, then there are false worshippers. The presence of the fake do not mean that the original is not available. Listen to me and listen clearly. Do not allow the voice of your detractors to drown your sense of reasoning as a worshiper. The problem we have in worship is that of comparison. Those of you in the singing ministry, please hear me loud. It is good that your vocal cord must be sound. You must have a clear voice. Your presentation must be accurate. Now, God is a God of excellence. Agreed. But for your excellence to pay forth in what you do, your heart must be involved in what you are doing. No man can assess God with his head. It takes the heart to assess him. And that is why he said, the hour cometh and now is that the true worshippers will worship God in truth and in spirit. Verse 23, if you go back to verse 23, the hour cometh and now is. When is the time? When is the time? Shout it now in capital letters. Shout it again. When? When? He said, and now when the true worshiper, slap your chest with confidence and say, I am a true worshiper. It is not my assignment tonight to begin to differentiate between true worshipers and false worshiper. But if you are a true worshiper, the results must show forth. I have a word in my spirit. If you are here, the grace is upon you to be a worshiper. I decree before this year end, whatever you seek, you shall have. Now, worshiping God in truth and in spirit, what is the purpose of worship? The purpose of worship is to invoke the supernatural presence of God into our lives and also into our situation. Now, in the book of Genesis, it says, and God come in the cool of the day to fellowship with the first man he created. God was not a busybody when he was doing that. What is the essence of coming to see the first man he created? Every other day, not in the hot of the day, but when in the cool of the day, he comes to impart his personality unto the first man. Now please listen to me. When God created man, we were told in Genesis that God made man in his image and after his likeness. In his image means we resemble God. In his likeness means we function like God. But for man to function like God, he must have the divine impartation, which come with by your fellowship with God in true worship. So God was coming down to impart grace upon the first man so that the first man can function fully like him. And I have a proof that Adam could personally name all the animals on the earth, including ants, and the worms in the sea where you need a special means to reach them. But Adam named all because a true worshiper enjoys the supernatural presence of God. I think that will excite somebody. Number one, you are bound to stand out. Number two, you are bound to be outstanding. The question is this: how do you worship God? Worship actually is like a journey you take. You are going somewhere. Are you with me? And the destination you are going to is God himself. That is worship. Now is the time. The true worshipers will worship God in truth and in spirit. In other words, worship takes you into the very presence of God. And once you get there, you can return the same way you went. So the difference between a false worshiper and a true worshiper, can hear these singers? A false worshiper can excite a crowd, but a true worshiper touches the spirit of man. There's a big difference between getting people excited and imparting people. The spirit behind the worship is what determines the result or the outcome of the worship. Corporate worship, individual worship, the same tenets obtains. I have just one question. It is rhetoric. You don't need to answer me. When you worship God, is your heart involved or you worship him from your head? If you worship God from your head, that is not true worship. True worship wells up from your inside. And as it wells up, you discover that God rises up. Now, we read in the other psalm said, and God has gone up with a shout. God do not just rise. We quote Psalm 68 every time we preach. Let God arise. Let his enemy scatter. Sometimes some battles we are fighting, we could transfer them to God if we are true worshipers. Through worship, make God comes down by himself to take residence in your life and in your situation. Now, when your enemy rises up, they have God to contend with. Let your heart be involved when you worship God. And I'm not talking to those who have not accepted Christ. You are here. Christ is not in your life. Your life will be full of crisis. It takes the spirit of Christ in man for him to live for God. If you are here, you have not fully dedicated your life to Jesus Christ, this is an opportunity for you. If you have not accepted Christ, you sing. You are just making noise. You have not accepted Jesus Christ, you think you are worshiping. You are just making noise. That's the truth. You must make a decision today. A great program do not make great people. It is the decision you make that transforms your life. Will you go home the same way you came? Or you will surrender your all to Jesus? The hour is now. The minute is now. The second is now. Subscribe to this heavenly network and you discover your life will be filled with the blessings from above. God has gone up with a shout. Not a shout out of head, but shout out of heart. If we are to live this life and live it to its fullness, we must not live this Christian life only with our lips, write that down, but also with our lives. What you say must confirm what you have inside. True worshippers, there is spiritual alignment between their mouth and their heart. If there is no alignment between your mouth and your heart, you are running at a disjointed argo.